RuneScape needs pride. Old school needs pride. Yes, I am being deadly serious when I say that. No, I am not exaggerating for effect or hyperbolizing to make a point. Nor am I stretching the meaning of I want into we need. RuneScape needs pride because the world needs pride, and RuneScape is a part of this world. Look, I know how it sounds. I've been on the other side of this thought. Trust me, I am the most white bread default settings guy you can find. I had the same train of thought that I imagine most people do when they first see Pride Month. What's the deal with all these rainbows? Like, I've got nothing against the gays, but is it really all necessary? But I am telling you, if you have a working sense of empathy and you take the time to think and to look at the world around you, you will realise that not only is Pride Month sorely needed, it is actually not enough, and we should be doing even more throughout the rest of the year to fix this messed up state of the world. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Why does Pride Month even exist in the first place? Across the world, people of minority sexual orientation or gender expression are punished for merely existing. In my home of the UK, the Supreme Court changed the laws out from under us to remove any legal protections trans people may have had. Across the pond in the US, actor Jonathan Joss was shot and killed by his homophobic neighbour simply for being a gay man. Bigotry is not a solved problem. It is here, now, all around us, and we are in a constant battle to make sure it does not become mainstream again. Pride Month is one of the tools we have to combat it. It is not enough on its own, and we do need more, but it is a start. When the cisgender heterosexual folks like myself go out into the world and see the rainbow flags everywhere and the lovely gay couples holding hands out in the open, it sends a message that these people are a part of normal everyday life, that they are here to stay and we have to get used to it. The more often people are exposed to those different from themselves, the more they come to accept them. The truly hateful among us will do everything they can to shun and to hide away those that they hate because they know that given enough time in the spotlight, the average person can come to accept anyone. Hate is not natural. It takes energy and effort to maintain, and a huge part of the fight against hate is making people realize that it is a massive waste of time. So how does this all tie into RuneScape? Well, like it or not, RuneScape is a place that we inhabit. It is no longer just a game. It is a location we visit, and as such, bringing pride into Gielinor is going to have the same effect as it does when bringing it into the real world. There is no argument you can make to separate the virtual from the physical. Your brain processes them in the same way. When you get a rare drop and sell it for a bunch of GP, it's the same feeling you get when finding a free £10 note on the floor. It's the same chemicals in the brain, the same neural pathways, and that holds true for all ideas. Seeing a bunch of players running around in colourful jumpers and scarves and floral headwear has the same effect as if you saw it on the streets of your hometown. It is meant to show you how many people around you are part of a community that would normally be invisible to you, and that has power. The more places, real or virtual, that we can get to adopt pro-LGBTQ messaging and allow for their visibility, the better. It gives people in these minority groups more safe spaces they can exist in, while removing hiding spots for bigots to lurk. But wait, there's more. I hang out in a lot of LGBTQ type spaces, and there isn't a day that goes by where I don't hear about how someone in those spaces has been bullied, harassed, or disowned by their family just because of who they are. Putting pride in RuneScape is a way to give people in these situations where real life is not safe for them a chance to express themselves in a place that is. It can be a lifeline for people in that situation, as it becomes the only place they can really be themselves. So I don't want to hear anyone talking about how pride has no place in video games, because members of these communities deserve to be safe everywhere, and as long as places exist where they aren't, well, we still have work to do. And I'm not going to sit here quietly and watch as people try to take them away. Which brings us on to... Let's take a trip into hell, formerly known as Twitter, and take a gander at the OSRS official account. They recently made a post announcing this year's Pride March, a fairly basic and innocuous gathering done on the JMod's own time, with no inclusion or mention of any new in-game seasonal events or cosmetic items. We'll get more into those later. They've literally done close to the smallest possible thing they could have done, and still, their comments on it are absolutely vile. People using gay as an insult in 2025, claiming they're going to quit the game over it, or just straight up uncensored slurs. This is just a small selection, and it took me all of 5 minutes to gather them all. This isn't me cherry picking a couple of bad apples. This is a rampant problem. Even the slightest mention of the P word, and these cretins come out of the woodwork, foaming at the mouth to tell you how much they hate you. Think for a second, how broken does your brain have to be? How much hatred is a person holding in their heart if even being friendly towards the LGBTQ is enough to make them despise you? If Jajix backs down and reduces pride content to appeal to these arseholes, they're sending a horrible, cowardly message. They are saying that the feelings of these snowflakes who get triggered by rainbows is more important than the well-being of every person who isn't straight and cis. And yet they did back down, didn't they? We aren't getting a proper Pride event with a mini quest and new cosmetics this year. Something we did get for the last 3 years in a row. I was holding out hope it might come later in the month, but no, it was confirmed during the live stream that it's not happening. Last year, June 5th, they had the Pride event front and centre as part of its own blog post. This year, the Pride stuff is shoved to the bottom of a post about AFK timers. The difference in tone is clear. I'd love to be proved wrong on this, but I think we can safely say that we are not getting any new Pride stuff this year, and I think that's disgraceful. Especially so with all the work that was done by the mods, past and present, to bring this to the game in the first place. There is no good argument, even in a business sense, that you can make for this. The dev time required to make a few Pride-themed cosmetics and a short mini-quest cannot be that much. A couple of devs, of which you have dozens of apparently, could whack this out in a week, probably less. The Pride March, hosted from the JMod's bedrooms on their own unpaid time, was so popular that the service couldn't render everyone on screen at the same time. Pride is clearly widely popular among your players, and you got rid of it anyway, so it clearly wasn't about staying in line with what the customers wanted. Hate towards Pride isn't even anything new, and you know what? It was decreasing. Past Pride events had way more hate than the 2024 one did. The anti-Pride losers were barely a fart in the wind that year. You just canned Project Xanaris, one of the most anticipated projects you'd ever come up with, which had no end of people working on it, and you're telling me that you can't spare a few people to make something that would mean the world to your players who have stuck with this game for over a decade. Why? Because you're afraid Joe Rogan might not like it, or someone like Grums? Great, now we have to talk about Grums. Grums is a guy who used to work for Blizzard like 20 years ago, but now he carves out his earnings on Twitter, grifting to the alt-right by complaining about wokeness in video games, which is just any time a non-white person shows up on screen or when the women in a game aren't sexualized enough to give him a boner. He jumps from game to game whenever there's some made-up drama he can leech off like the parasite that he is, and he ended up talking shit about the pronoun update last year because of course he fucking did. It's not enough for him to just talk though. No, he has to put individual people on blast and open them up to harassment from his thousands of loser followers. He actively tries his best to make people's lives a living hell, just so he doesn't have to see pronouns in video games. But this didn't start with Grums, no, he just swoops in afterwards to steal the credit. This starts in our own player bases, and I now regretfully have to show you Pride Slayer. Pride Slayer released this garbage about 2 weeks ago. It's a rambling mess of loosely connected points that go nowhere. It complains about RuneScape 3 having too much microtransactions, and somehow tries to blame it on pronouns and virtue signaling, stuff that anyone with a working brain can tell you isn't related in the slightest. Meanwhile, he's desperately trying to make himself the victim while finding the time to call out and point to individual JMods that you should be mad at. I don't care if you put some half-assed "please don't harass them" statement at the start of your video. You know damn well what you're doing here. This is all a thinly veiled attempt to throw your grievances onto a crowd of people you already hate. Yes, I get that RS3 might not be going in the direction you like, but you don't get to try and ruin people's lives over it. It's a gross and disgusting video, and no sane person should be giving anything said in it any credit. It sucks. It's hate disguised as concern. Do not fall for it. So how did Jagex respond to this? Did they stay strong in the face of adversity? Did they take action against the people responsible? The people harassing and harming their direct employees who make the game that keeps them alive? No, they cut down on Pride content and hoped we wouldn't notice. Oh, and fired a bunch of JMods for good measure. Oh, and it gets even worse. While writing this script, more info has come to light and the story just keeps getting more and more awful. As explained in this article from Pink News, any new Pride content was essentially banned from entering either games by order of a company-wide memo, despite the fact that it was basically done with no drop in output on other projects, and that the JMods who cared for it even offered to add the content to the game on their own time for free. It didn't matter, they were still told no, for absolutely no good reason. This is pretty damn far from okay. As I've already said, this sends a horrible message. It shows that you'll stop doing the right thing if enough bigots will get together and cry about it. It shows people that in your opinion your employees are fair game to be targets for hatred and direct attacks if they create updates that players don't personally like. What's next? Is someone going to come to Cambridge and cut off the office electricity because they don't like sailing? Because you're kind of telling them that it would work. Seriously, look at some of the things your anti-pride crowd is saying. Is this really who you want to be pandering to? Is this your core audience that shares your company values? I sure would hope not. I'm sorry if this is sounding too dramatic, but I need to reiterate, these are real people's lives that are being ruined because the fan base of the game that they work on are getting away scot-free with constantly attacking them. This has got to stop. And so, where do we go from here? First, bring back pride to RuneScape. Both game versions. Do not let the bigots win. They will never be satisfied until they've destroyed everything they despise, which is everything even slightly different from themselves. It is not something you can appease. Second, Jagex, do something, anything to stop the constant harassment your employees are receiving from the player base for updates they don't like. This extends beyond just pride stuff. How much vitriol have we seen spewed directly at your employees for updates like sailing and even Yammer recently? But it is most important to protect them when they are being targeted for their very identities. Don't act like there's nothing you can do. You have a myriad of options at your disposal. It's just up to you to actually use them. And to you, John. Can I call you John? I'm going to say what you are clearly too afraid to speak out loud. If this is all it took to make you remove pride, then you already wanted it gone in the first place. No amount of saying that you're an ally will mean anything as long as your actions continue to embolden and to encourage players who want my friends dead. You claim you want to focus on what players want? Well, this is what players want. They want pride in their game. They want a safe space to be themselves in a world that won't let them be. They want rainbows and flags and pretty colours for everything. The numbers are here, on the table, the evidence is clear. The old school community is one of inclusivity and not one of fear or of hate. If you ignore the numbers, then you are just doing bad business. And so, I come back to you, the loyal viewer. I urge you, if I've made any impression on you at all, to try and speak up about what's going on here. We seem to have no problem getting up in arms when there's a drop rate we don't like. Maybe we can do the same for something a bit more important. And I cannot stress enough that this is important. As I've said throughout this video, the representation of queer people in the world is an integral step to getting them accepted by the world. RuneScape is a part of that world, and therefore everyone deserves a place in it, whoever they may be. So please, make a tweet, make a Reddit post, write to Jagex directly, make a video, stream about it, anything you can think of. We know they do read it, we know they look at it, and you just might be able to make a difference. I do believe that. In the meantime, we will be hosting our own Pride event this month on the 21st. Join us at 8 PM UK time for our big gay house party, followed by a fashionscape contest in Faldor Park, and then much more to come afterwards as long as people stay online. It will be live streamed here, and everyone watching now is welcome and encouraged to attend and take part. If enough of us can get together and make a noise about this, maybe we can show them that the community really wants this. Remember, you don't have to be LGBTQ yourself to be a part of Pride. You just have to care about people. These things that may mean nothing to most of us can mean the world to somebody else. I hope to see you all there, and thank you. Peace.